Barbados is music.
Well, it gives me great joy to talk to one of the chief exponents of music in Barbados from all angles, all aspects of it. My good friend Norman Barrow. Norman, welcome to Barbados Is Music.
Thank you, Admiral, and thanks for that welcome or that description.
Let's
my mind.
start where we should start. The beginning, first we're going to start with Norman Barrow. And how did you initially get involved in this whole music thing?
Well, it started when I was a little boy, about 13, starting to play the guitar. Learned from, I had a friend who lived opposite to me, and his father used to play the guitar, so we all used to gather around. And then, of course, in those days, there was not much to do.
And in those early years, who were you influenced by?
Well, it was more country music at that time. There was calypso, like Sparrow and those things around. There were not a lot of radio stations. There was really just one.
Let's talk about the landscape in the late 60s, coming into when it really seemed to start to happen for Barbados. What was that time like?
We were all at school, and while at school we started bands. But the band before the sample was a band called the Silhouettes, which I think some people still know because we did a lot of recordings, and that was the beginning of recording in Barbados. We recorded at Radio Fusion Studio, recorded at CBC up in the, when they were up in Black Rock there.
Who were the Silhouettes? Do you remember the members?
Willie Carr.
Willie Carr, you
was in it, yeah. I was in it. Robert Foster, who played with Mary Men, he was in it. A guy called Charles Jordan. The Silhouettes became a band that backed a lot of artists. So we worked with Richard Stout. The Draytons actually sang with us for a while.
Nice.
Draytons too, and we did a lot of recordings with them. And we toured as well. We went to Guyana and stuff with the Draytons.
So you're moving from one phase to the next. You were part of the Silhouettes, and then we heard of Norman Barrow and the Sand Peppers. How did that transition occur?
I remember one of the groups that influenced us to say, hey, well, we could do that too. Let's try that, was the Trade Winds. When the Trade Winds first came to Barbados, and the Merry Men were, I think, had just started too. And the Beatles were big. This was now 65, so the Beatles were, so singing groups were now, the move away from instrumental music to vocal groups was beginning, right? And the Beatles were obviously leading that. So we thought, well, hey, we could do that too. So some of us got together and we formed this group. I was playing drums at that time. I started playing guitar, and then I was playing drums at that time. And then when we started to rehearse, we couldn't find a drummer. We couldn't find a bass player. So I started playing bass, and then I realized that really that was the instrument that I liked, and I continued to play bass. And so that group was formed, and we became quite popular. And that was when we then entered into becoming professional musicians. And that all came about because we were offered a trip to Bermuda to play for 2 weeks at a nightclub there. And of course that meant, well, you can't get off 2 weeks from work. The only thing you can do is to give up the job. At that time I was a draftsman in an architect's office, Robertson Ward, and I was quite a good draftsman, they tell me. And I didn't have a problem with my parents, I had a problem with my boss. My boss thought I was absolutely crazy. And he tried everything to keep me from going, including offering to send me away to study. Right, and I told him, no, I want to try this. So we all chucked our jobs and off we went to Bermuda, and here I am.
How did the name come around? It's always difficult to find a name for a group.
We were on the beach taking some photographs, and there was this lady lying there reading a book called The Sand Pebbles. And we said, hey, that's a good name.
The lady,
so,
the Sand Pebbles.
The name, not the lady or the book, the name.
And so it turned out to be a name that would have stayed with us throughout the 70s. Norman, one of the things about the band that's quite noticeable is a lot of the original material you guys did, because I would imagine coming out of the 50s into the 60s, the musicians would have been influenced by what was happening in the R&B world, the Ray Charles and the Otis Reddings, etc. Yet, you guys were able to distinguish your own music with a particular sound.
Well, that came about because really of Jackie Opal and this Scrooge music. Jackie Opal's music had an influence on, I guess, the bands at that time. People started to play the music. And then from my perspective, how we got into that and went into that vein was I was always interested in recording and doing all that stuff. Technical things always interested me besides playing music. So I ended up being an engineer. It's 42 years now.
Wow, that's a long time. Norman Barr, A&B Music Supplies, musical guru in the country on Barbados Is Music. Thank you, Norman.
Thank you, Admiral. It's a pleasure. Yeah. Wish you happy 50th anniversary. We won't be around for the next 50, but...
boy, I had to speak for yourself. I living.
It's an explosion of music like you've never seen. It's the best of Barbados at 50. It's Digicel Barbados Is Music. One night, one stage, 3 of the best Bajan bands. Square One.
The dance on fire. If I stop back, can't do that. That's like a man.
Krosfyah.
Music for like this, so tired. Are you ready? Yes, sir.
Coalition.
I'm ready to get on bad. Yes. I'm ready to mash up the yard.
All together for the first time at Kensington Oval on November 29 for a once-in-a-lifetime performance. It's hit after hit after hit. It's Barbados Is Music.
If I say Andre Paris, you'll probably go, who? But if I say DJ Puffy, you're going to go, oh, yes. So, DJ Puffy, welcome to Barbados Is Music.
Thanks a million. Thanks for having me.
How did this journey for you start?
Basically, I was marketing manager of Youth Explosion, the youth band, back in the day. Oh, not too far for now.
When you say back in the day, you mean like what?
Well, my back in the day, like 6.5 years ago or so.
Okay.
Yeah, and we were kind of looking for DJs, but we couldn't really afford all the DJs on the card per se. So I was kind of doing my thing on the side, house parties, doing internet radio for my friends at school and stuff like that. And I was like, you know what? I would just fill the slot until the real DJs get there.
Amazing.
So I was there, I was playing, and the guy who's my manager now, Matthew Ashby, Future, he was actually around the shipping at the time. That's where we did the fete. And he heard me, he was like, yo, how long you were DJing? I was like, well, I'm not really a real DJ at all.
I'm just
filling a slot, exactly. Yeah. And from there, he asked me to do the Saturday night with Masala at the time. And I landed that gig, and then I landed more gigs, and here I am today. I was playing in the boatyard at the time. That's when it was taboo. And Simply Smooth and Bubba, they were linemen in the back. And well, Smooth told me the story after. And he was like, hey, Bubba boy. You know, he's from Grenada. Who's this man, boy? Yeah. And Bubba was like, oh, some DJ thing. And Smooth was like, nah, we got to get him on the station. So the day after, I got a phone call from Scratch Master, who was the program director at the time. He was like, hey, Puffy, this is Scratch from Slam. I'm like, who? You sure you got the right number? Yeah, and they asked me to send in a demo. I did. After that, they asked me to intern, and I did. And yeah, 5 years deep in radio.
So let's show off a bit. You've been on a bit of a world tour.
Yes.
I heard you went to Spain.
Yes.
So pull out that passport. Tell me where you've been and what you've been doing.
London, Spain. Oh, we just came from Malaga. We did a
came
weekend
from
there. Malaga. That's a part of Spain.
What's that like? Because you're in Spain, national language is Spanish. Mm-hmm. You know, you're from Barbados.
I did Spanish at school.
Okay.
Well, I went Comer. You know, you got to big up my school and ting. Anyway, don't look. But yeah, I did Spanish at school, and I really liked it. We did a 5-day cruise on the Norwegian Pearl just now. I just got back from Miami to Ocho Rios and back. So yeah, that was pretty nice.
What kind of music are you playing when you're in these jurisdictions?
It depends on the type of show. The cruise, it was called the Uber Soca Cruise. So it's like,
yeah, I heard about that. Yeah,
it's Soca. The weekender that I did in Spain, that was a Soca weekender. A lot of soca events. If I book my own shows, like a lot of the promoters will reach out to me and say, yo, Puffy, we want to put you to headline at X show, or we want to put you in this venue, whether it's Toronto with Dr. J or somewhere else in the Caribbean. I kind of have my own show. If I get to pitch in my creative juices into the venue, then I tell them, yo, I want stage here, I need screens here, I would love to have pyrotechnics here or this and that. And I work closely with the lighting guys and the special effects guys to kind of produce my own DJ show. But I play everything, you know. Yeah. I play everything: soca, hip hop, reggae, dancehall, soul, R&B,
ballads, R&B,
everything, movie themes, anything. So I mean, when we produce our shows, I try to bring a different experience to people. You know, I run from behind the console, interact with the crowd. I might jump into the crowd sometimes, and I mean that's something that we don't get to do here because of how the culture is. But
Yes.
definitely bigger festivals for me in the near future. I'm producing my own music.
You're now a brand, DJ Puffy.
Yes, please.
Any thought of merchandising?
Absolutely.
I see you in your Barbados cap.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
We kind of, I'm on board with this brand. We kind of formed a partnership, me, Jay, and Cal. We brought out the Beijing Gold hats. They've been going like hotcakes.
Yeah, they are trendy,
Yeah,
smart.
You know. This is the first of many. I launched I actually retail these through my clothing company. It's called Black Boy Fly.
Yes.
So that's what the brand is about. You know, it's kind of developing retail, clothing, fashion. It's fashion, finesse, and family. So using those three factors to kind of show people, well, yo, no matter where you are from, you can make it out, because nobody would think a young guy from Barbados could be doing. I mean, I didn't even think, because of where I'm from, you know, not knocking the country, but it's hard
Yes.
to achieve what I've achieved, you know, and I'm grateful for it. And
we are so proud of you.
Thank you.
We
Thank
are
you.
so proud of you. How do you rep Barbados when you are? I can say that, right? Rep you.
Yeah,
Rep? Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Just trying to sound
Very
trendy.
very trendy.
Trendy myself and a little young. How do you rep Barbados when you're performing overseas?
I always throw in Bajan music when I play. Always. You know, and I always push, yo, anybody ever been to Barbados? Y'all know it from Barbados, thing.
Yes.
Y'all welcome to kind of crop over. When y'all land in immigration, just tell them Puffy saying y'all, stuff like that.
That's brave.
Well, if they land, I would like to see any immigration officers that tell me, yo, somebody come and say, Puffy sent me to Barbados. So you gotta stamp that passport and let them in.
That's right. I think that your journey is an inspiration for any young person to not only follow your dream, but to work extremely hard.
Thank you.
To make sure that the dream, the coach doesn't become a pumpkin at midnight.
You gotta make the dream real.
Yep. I just want to wish you all the very best.
Thank you so
and
much.
Best of luck.
Thank you so much. Yo, Puffy here telling you need to be at Kensington Oval tomorrow night. So look at your watch and set it. Set your alarm and make sure you're at Kensington tomorrow night. Puffy, I'm going to be there. So meet me there, no man. Barbados is music.
It's an explosion of music like you've never seen. It's the best of Barbados at 50. It's Digicel Barbados Is Music. One night, one stage, 3 of the best Bajan bands. Square One.
The dance on fire. If I stop back, can't do that. That's like a money.
Krosfyah.
Music full of this soca is. Are you ready? Yes, sir.
Coalition.
Ready to get on bad. Yes. Ready to mash up the yard.
All together for the first time at Kensington Oval on November 29 for a once-in-a-lifetime performance. It's hit after hit after hit. It's Barbados Is Music.
The only gun I got is the gun is robbery. People have a gun, some have a gun. Man, they shoot each other for fun. Burn the men, kill the men. All that remain is women. If it's dead, I'm gonna have me fun. If it's dead, I'm gonna have me fun. If it's dead, I'm gonna take a chance. I get clean every romance.
We say in Barbados that she is the people's queen. Regardless of genre, whether it is reggae, rhythm and blues, or soca / calypso, Terencia Coward is a force to be reckoned with. Welcome to Barbados Is Music.
Thanks for having me.
Now, I want you to go all the way back.
Will I remember?
As far back as you can remember. Thompson, synonymous with great vocals in Barbados.
Yes.
You come from a long line of fabulous singers. So let's start there.
Okay. Started really in the school choir, primary school. I would have attended primary. Fought my way into the school choir. Didn't quite make it into the school choir common mayor. Dr. Fletcher had a lot higher standards than
Oh dear.
most.
Yes.
So that was interesting. But then my sister Janice entered Teen Talent in 1981. Yeah, I think it was 81. And placed second in that competition to Margaret, or third to Margaret and Darren. So everybody was pushing. Can you do better than your sister? And I have always been the kind of person to take up a challenge.
I'll take that on, yeah.
So I took it on. I placed second to Edwin in 1983. which would have been just 2 years after. And it just kind of flowed from there, everything else. When I entered Teen Talent, I would not forget that the night of the finals, there was this man in the George Street Auditorium on the balcony with the biggest voice I had ever heard, just shouting my name. I love you, I love you, I love you. You're gonna be a star. I'm gonna make you a star. And it was David Hooper. It was David Hooper.
You serious?
I'm serious. How did I find out it was David Hooper? My stepfather had some friends over for a drink, and he came by. And he said, this young lady looks really familiar. She sings. And my stepfather said, yes, that's my stepdaughter, Terence. She only just sang in Teen Talent, you know, making no big deal of it because we made nothing of it. And he said, wait, you was the girl.
How old were you when
I
you entered
was
Teen Talent?
15. The year after, I moved to the US to live with my dad. And David would constantly send messages through people. He's starting a band. Am I coming back to Barbados? And eventually I said yes. And when David said, I'm going to start this band, I said okay. And it was KGB at the time. And I came back to Barbados to be part of that band. And I stayed with David and all of his entities until the late 90s.
Now, how do you tell your parents, well, I know I came over here to study and all the rest, but I can join a band, man. I can join a band.
It was easy because it was my dad. If it was my mother, it probably would be a challenge. It was my dad, and having his brothers singing all the time. And my father always would say he had the better voice. He just was scared of the stage.
Now, when you talk about brothers, let's do a little education here.
All right.
Your dad's brothers.
My dad's brothers, Michael and Clarence Thompson. For me, my first knowledge of Michael would have been songs like Marry Me, which would have been Lunar 7, and Are You Sure, those songs. And Clarence would have been The Letter, and
Express Yourself.
Express Yourself.
Lucille's Door.
When he was with the organization.
Yes.
So for my father, it was kind of like a natural progression. You are Thompson, so you are expected to sing.
Yeah. And Janice had a voice out of this world.
Janice, yeah, awesome. Actually, I think it was the other morning I was driving, coming down to work, and you were playing that song with her and Aubrey
Cummins, yes. More than
and
I can
was
say.
Like,
more than
wow,
words can say.
More than words can say. I was like, wow, seriously. So it was a natural thing for me, and it was easy.
What was your preference genre-wise? Because now we know Miss TC as soca, calypso, whether it's Pick of the Crop or Sweet Soca that you've won twice?
Twice.
Or Party Monarch that you've won once.
Correct.
But what were you listening to then?
I was listening to R&B then. I really only got into reggae and soca, calypso, outside of knowing local artists like Bag and Gabby and John. I only really got into it when I went into Coalition, because KGB would have been an R&B band playing in Coach House and Shipping and those places. When I joined Coalition, it would have been the After Dark. So I think the first soca song that I ever sang was Denny's Belfon, Kakelele. That was the first soca song
You're
I
serious?
ever sang. I'm serious. And it was an interesting exercise. Boo would give me a hard time. He would say, "You're still singing it like R&B. It's not R&B." So I had to adjust. There was an adjustment period between singing soca and singing R&B. Coming out to competition for the very first time in '94 and placing third to the likes of John King and Observer, you had this feeling like, okay, maybe I do have something to offer here. People telling you that is one thing, and people who are around you, and they're around you constantly, so you say your friends always tell you what you want here. But then the general public saying to you, yeah, we like what you brought, and we would like you to stay. That would have been the encouragement. And before I go on stage, I say a small prayer. I say, Father, I ask you to let me use the talents that you've given me to touch one person. I'm not asking to touch the entire audience, but to make that one person who came here tonight to have a good time, leave and say, boy, I had a good time. And as long as I've done that, I've done what I'm supposed to do.
I want to thank you very much. Thanks for the memories. Thanks for the music.
Thank you.
Thanks for having a chat with me today.
Thanks a lot.
Listen, your boy, you better. Look, you better recognize you. Not that you are with, but you. Whisper in my ear, boy. Who the hell is there? What foolishness? You better. And go on. Better order. So pick up your. So long, my friend, is our innocent.
Barbados is music.
It's an explosion of music like you've never seen. It's the best of Barbados at 50. It's Digicel Barbados Is Music. One night, one stage, 3 of the best Bajan bands. Square One.
The dance on fire. If I stop back, I can't do that. Dance like a man.
Krosfyah.
Music full of this soca is. Are you ready? Very champion.
Coalition.
I'm ready to get on bad. I'm ready to mash up the yard.
All together for the first time at Kensington Oval on November 29 for a once-in-a-lifetime performance. It's hit after hit after hit. It's Barbados Is Music.
One year, in 1982, this true champion from the East came, of course, to Central Barbados to challenge and probably might defeat the mighty Gabby. Let's welcome to Barbados Is Music, the red plastic bag, El Plastico Rojo.
El bolso plástico, bro.
That one red plastic.
So the
bag.
balls are too, no, balls. Balls. Plastic bag, it's really good to have you here on Barbados Is Music. And I went back to that part of your life for a reason, because I've always said you and Mighty Gabby at one time were responsible for the division in the country when it came to crowd support. You were either hailing for Gabby or you were hailing for red plastic bag.
Or you were staying home on finals
Or
night.
you would stop home.
Well, I've had some good years. It was really in 1982 when I came on the national scene. But I started in 1979 in the St. Philip competition, won the competition in 1979, won the competition in 1980, won the competition in 1981. And people started saying, Bag, you need to go to the national competition. I said, me? Go to the national competition to compete against Gabby, to compete against Romeo? But people like Tony Warren and Adam the Ford, they said to me, you know, you need to get involved in this competition. I entered the competition and won. And my life changed forever. I've always said that Calypso chose me. I didn't choose Calypso. Because I really didn't see myself on stage. I've always loved it. Big fan of Chalk Dust and Kitchen and all these people. But never really saw myself on stage singing Calypso. But having gone there in 1982, the rest is history.
So I want to look at the red plastic bag formula, first of all, for the pick of the crop competition. So let's start there.
Well, first of all, when I'm going to compose a song, I never compose a song seeing myself on stage. I've always composed my song from being in the audience with the people. I'm cognizant of what people want to hear, and as a Calypsonian, as a messenger, you need to be able to communicate well. Because at the end of the day, you're a messenger, you're an artist painting a picture. I don't have a brush, I don't have paint. I have lyrics and music, so I have to use my lyrics and music to paint the picture in a very clear way for people to understand.
But do you write competition songs?
Well, I would have done it in the past. This is why I'm arguing, and I've been arguing for some time, that competition can stifle creativity. You know, once you know what the criteria are, you can compose a song thinking I'm going to extract some points from here, I'm going to extract some points from there. But I don't think that that's the best approach to the music. I've done it in the past, but what I do when I'm actually composing a song is to try to get the best for the song. Well, for instance, I went to France to meet him, and with a repertoire of over 400 songs, I only had about 40 songs that I could actually present to the world that I believe would have been able to be understood and that people could relate to. And I started to realize that, you know, maybe our approach to the music is wrong or may not be as effective as we think it really is. Maybe that is why the music just stayed within a certain frame. Look at the songs that Harry Belafonte sang. the whole world can sing those songs and can relate to those songs. Look at Bob Marley. The songs that Bob Marley sang, he sang about stuff that happened in Jamaica, but all his choruses were international choruses that the world can sing.
Had a global appeal.
And had a global appeal.
Well, Raga Raga, I thought that you were going to use that as the ultimate example, because that is the song that, to many of us across the world, started the Red Plastic Bag, that actually took you out of Barbados.
I don't understand one thing when I try to listen to what I've sung. I tried and I tried and I tried and I tried and I know that something wrong. Every time the DJ decide to play, one hand go up in the air. Everybody chanting, doing the vocal, oh what an atmosphere. But all I
What you hear? What you hear?
everybody sing, come! Raga 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 raga. I hear it, just sing it. Raga 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 raga.
Well, yes, Raga Raga did. That in itself is social commentary, although people tend to think that those songs are not. But if I had done that song in the Calypso competition in Barbados, people would probably laugh at it and probably wouldn't see it as the type of song that should be in a competition. You realize that I used to do work with Kenny Wallace, did an excellent job on my music throughout the 80s into the early 90s. But when I realized that the music was changing and much more younger people were coming into the fray, getting involved in all the parties, they wanted a different kind of music. So I went to Nicholas, who was able to bridge the gap between, musically this is, between myself and my generation and the younger people. So he was able to bridge that gap, being able to bring music along with the lyrics. I didn't really change much in terms of my approach to the lyrics in the early 90s, but he was able to bring music that was more appealing to younger people. When you look back at a lot of the sweet soca songs, and I believe that there is where we can make our music go to the next level. Look at the songs that we have been producing here in Barbados. We have the best producers of sweet soca songs in the Caribbean. Nobody can do it better than us. There's something special about how we do our music, and they remain sweet throughout the season and beyond simply because there's a certain vibe within them. We cannot afford to lose that. Some of the songs have actually gone beyond that and outside of that. Those songs would do well in the Caribbean, but from the time they get outside the Caribbean, a lot of those songs are going to fade because they become just another European or American song in terms of how they feel. So if we maintain the soul of our music, we will be in a better position to market what we have.
I want to thank you very much for stopping by to have a chat with us. Barbados is music, and music is Red Plastic Bag.
I'm excited about Barbados.
Red Plastic
music.
Bag is Barbados.
I believe that we've done an excellent job musically. I want to, very often we tend to ignore the people who are in the background and focus on the people who are up front. But I want to say thanks to all the producers in Barbados who have done an excellent job in producing some excellent music over the years. All the people who work in the background. We tend only to see the person who's up front. But I want to thank all the people who have actually supported me and have been in the background working extremely hard, producing the music and making sure that what is presented out there is at a high level. Thank you.
Thank you. It's been a great run. We are so grateful that you allowed us into your homes, on your devices, however you did it, to watch Barbados Is Music. So we're hoping that we will see you tomorrow at Barbados Is Music.
Yeah, that's right. Tomorrow, be here early. But it's been a great pleasure working with you.
It's been a wonderful
I've gotten a lot more popular.
working with you.
I know what good tasting sweet bread is all about. The conkeys are maybe yet to come, but on this final day, you just never know. But Carol, it's been a wonderful time with you, for real. And she real ignorant. She's telling enough jokes and thing here. She ain't as quiet as you think she is.
It's been a pleasure, Admiral. Always wonderful working with a great talent.
Yeah, thank you,
musicians.
man. I'm honored, man. I got goosebumps, but I can't see the gooses.
Look, I'll see you tomorrow night at Kensington Oval. Barbados Is Music. It is going to be a show like no other. I mean, 3 of Barbados' best on one stage, one night, as we celebrate our 50th anniversary of independence. It's been a pleasure.
Independence,
Until
Barbados.
Next time, happy Independence, Barbados.
Yeah. Thank you, Carol.